All right, so I'll give praise, honor, and esteem to the living Alahym in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. We bless his Kadesh Shabbat. Pick it up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life. They was testified of me. When you and I come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you. You have not the Alahym in you. Come in my name, you receive me not. Another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one of another and seek not the honor that comes from Alahym only? Do not think that I will accuse you. The Abba, there's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have me, for he wrote of me. You believe not his writings, you believe my words. Shalom, man. Make it. Pick up where we was at. 1 Timothy 3 and 14. Looking at how Yahuwah, Shalom, man, and Yahushua are one and the same. How Alahym was manifested in the flesh. We hit a couple points on Wednesday briefly in regards to a dude saying Mashiach sinned. Well, of course, we looked at statements in that regard and in the script. We're going to revisit those, line them up with Mashiach, and also continue down the path road. Walking down. 1 Timothy 3 and 14. House of Alahym, which is the house of the living Alahym, the pillar and ground of the truth. Come on, man. All right, so without controversy, great is the mystery of godliness. Alahym was manifested in the flesh, justified in the Ruach, seen in Malachim, preached unto the Gentile, believed on in the world, and received up into esteem. I want us to revisit Deuteronomy 32, Job chapter 34, and Zephaniah chapter 3, for our 2 to 3 witnesses for the matter which we want to discuss. Let's start with the law of Deuteronomy 32 to crank that up. Deuteronomy 32 and 1. Give ear, O you Shamahim, and I will speak. Hear, O Aras, the words of my mouth. My doctrine shall drop as rain. My speech as the still, as the dew, as the small rain upon the tender herb, and as the showers upon the grass. Because I will publish the name of Yahuwah, ascribe you greatness under our Alahym. I want you to pause. We're gonna look at publish real quick, like. And of course, this is Korah. You should be familiar with. And that is to call out, to cry out, to proclaim, to call for, to be proclaimed, to be read aloud, to be named, to be called out, to be chosen. So you would call with the name of Alahym. So the first thing I want you to do, right? Swing over here to Genesis chapter 5. Swing over here to Genesis chapter 5. Right. I'm trying to recall the spot that I want. It's in my mind. The location escapes me. Present time. Okay, come on back, Warren. Come on back over here to Genesis chapter 4. That's what I need. So I want you to come over here to Genesis chapter 4. You can pick it up in verse 23, if you will. And Lamech said unto his wives, Adah and Zillah, hear my voice, you wives of Lamech, hearken unto my speech. I have slain a man to my wounding, and a young man to my hurt. Cain be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 70 and sevenfold. Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son and called his name Seth. For Alahym, said she, have appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. And Seth, to whom also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos. Then began men to call upon the name of Yahuwah. Now, close call here is Korah, but I want y'all to sit back and I want you to think before you answer. Before you answer, I will tell you that Seth means compensation. Most of you know that. Enosh means man. So compensation for Yahuwah. So this is what I want you to think upon. What is the relevance of this passage in regards to publishing the name of Yahuwah and Alahym being manifested in the flesh, and several of the things that we have discussed in the last few days that we've gathered together. When you sit back and look at it, I get the full context because some of you probably confused. Cain slew Abel. These are the first sons that Adam had. Alahym gave him compensation, or as it says in Genesis, Alahym has given him another seed. And after Alahym has given him another seed, then men began to call upon the name of Yahuwah. So I want you to think about that for a moment. What does that mean? What is being conveyed? Do not be general. And know that this is pertaining to the gospel. So don't sit back and think about Noah and Lamech and any of these people. Because again, it's pertaining to Alahym being manifested in the flesh. He said, then after Seth was born and Seth had a seed, men began to call upon the name of Yahuwah. So who can answer that? Who can answer that? Seed being one with Yahusha. Anyone else? Anybody else like to spin the wheel? Very well then. Anyone else like to spin the wheel? Don't be nervous. You can go ahead and spin the wheel. Righteous seed in the firstborn. Anybody else like to spin the wheel? Is there anybody else who would like to spin the wheel? 3 people, 3 contestants come down to spin the wheel. Anybody else like to come down and spin the wheel? I get you to the 10-minute mark, about 38 seconds from now. If anyone else would like to spin the wheel. You say you think John the Baptist. Interesting. Would anyone else like to spin the wheel? You got 15 seconds to spin the wheel. 15 seconds to spin the wheel. Four seconds to spin the wheel. Nobody else wants to spin the wheel. All of your answers all are encapsulated into the totality of the statement. So none of them are incorrect or all correct. They just fit in at a oh, I'm sorry. Ain't nothing I can do about that. That's just tripping. I'm sorry. But all of your answers are correct and they fit in very fit in and at the time appointed in different fashions. But they're all correct. So again, we read that, right? Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son and called his name Seth, for Alahym has said she have appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. And Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos. and then began men to call upon the name of Yahuwah. So compensation had a man, and then man, after he done this, after Alahym was appointed another seed, men began to call upon the name of Yahuwah. So the statement that the seed being one is correct, Yahusha dying, rising, allowing men to have access to his Alahym is correct. Firstborn righteous seed is correct. You can even work John the Baptist as being correct because once he was born, and then here comes Yahusha, the Son of Man. Men became able to begin to call upon the name of Yahuwah. Let's take a look at that in every single solitary aspect of what was just stated, because this is coming from published greatness to the name of Yahuwah. So the first thing that we have to look at is that, of course, call out or call upon the name of Yahuwah or Kara. Let me just go ahead and let y'all marinate on those letters. Of course, you know you got Kuf, you got Rosh, and you got Aleph. And so you can take off. You got Kuf, you got Rosh, and you have Aleph. Kuf, Rosh, Aleph. What y'all got for Kuf, Rosh, and Aleph? Minutes and 35 seconds. I'll give you 1 minute. Kuf, Rosh, and Aleph. But you know, I will share this here. I was talking to this young lady who's supposed to start doing some cold calling for me. She did a little bit of word. So I had the opportunity to pick a brain because she posts a lot of wild stuff from time to time. See what not just word wise, but understanding all the way around the board. And what I know from her understanding is something that we're going to look at when we go through this word. What I seen where she messed up at in a lot of areas is that her being a woman will look at a man and only see that man from the vantage point of a woman. I know that a lot of men look at women, they only see women from the vantage point of a man. And your time is up in that regard. So, but what clicked in my mind is this, is that you do the same thing to Alahym. But when you look on Alahym, you only see him from the vantage point that you wanted to see him. Because what I understood with this, the strength of the highest God, thank you, sir. What I understood, like, and she shared something a little earlier today, because I told her the opposite of this, because she seen that a young woman say that most men, the type of woman that they say that they want, they're describing a man with a vagina. But I find it funny because most of the types and attributes that a woman describes is a woman with a penis. You know what I'm saying? And this is the same way I'm saying this is what we do to Yahuwah. I say, when I look at Kuf, Rosh, and Aleph, I look at the strength of the last Adam, the last chief, the strength and power that's come from calling on that name. Because calling on the name of Acts chapter 4. Because what I'm mentioning this for is perspective. You can pick it up at Acts chapter 4. You can pick it up at verse 1, bump it. But I say this here because all type of things go through my head, and everything is always going to return back to Alahym for me. I know some people who I may run across, they might feel that is very, very weird, and that they feel like that everything can't be rooted in the word. That's their business. I can't do nothing about that. But what I can tell you is that that's how we view our Alahym. You want to see him from your vantage point. That's why you don't know him. You want to craft him and make him how you desire him to be in order to make you feel comfortable in serving him. That's just not how things work. You know what I'm saying? A woman cannot look at a man and expect a man to behave from the vantage point of a man. Because she is different from you. You cannot look at Alahym from the vantage point of a man and expect Alahym to behave like a man. because he will not. The same way that a woman should not be looking at a man and expecting him to behave like a woman, and a man should not look at a woman and expect her to behave like a man. This is why the man tells you that he understands your frame, but you're just dust. This is where reasoning and understanding come in at, to be able to not want to see someone through the vantage point of your perspective. This is why people are so disgruntled, why people are so upset and bitter in this earth, because you're not looking at people for who they are. Because I didn't talk to too many women in my day, and they definitely want a masculine simp, or AKA a homegirl with a penis. And that is a man. And he's not going to interact with you like a woman interacts with you. He's not one of your homegirls. You shouldn't even want him to be one of your homegirls. And deep down, you don't. It's no different than a man with a woman. Why would you want your woman to engage with you like one of your homeboys? She is not a man. She is not a man. So she is not going to interact with you like a man interacts. When you understand that, then you'll begin to have a lot more peace. The Alahym has already told you that he is not a man that he should lie, nor the son of Adam that he should repent. He is a Ruach, and everyone that worships him must worship him in Ruach and in truth. He is not like you, and you can't expect for him to interact with you like you would interact with another person, because he is not a man. He is Alahym. There is a difference. And when you understand the three things that I just stated from all three of those vantage points, then you can begin to understand how you can literally save your soul from death. But Acts chapter 4 and verse 1, though. And as they spake unto the people, the priests and the captain of the temple, and the Sadducees came upon them, being grieved that they taught the people and preached through Yahushua the resurrection from the dead. I told you about them young jackasses and idiots and asinine imbeciles that we spoke to the other day, and they were definitely grieved because of the continual focus on the resurrection of the dead, and that we would not be persuaded of anything other. I could hear the consternation, aggravation in the young man's voice, because I told him, no, sir, we believe in a literal resurrection from the dead, literally going in the grave and coming out of the grave a new creature and forever living with Alahym. Literally. Not figuratively, not spiritually, not philosophizing, nigga, literally. Now, I can't speak for nobody else, but I believe that literally. And I told him, I don't want to hear your vantage point. I don't want to hear your vantage point. I don't want to hear your reasons. I do not care. Simple as that. I do not care. You know what I'm saying? Because if I'm going to sit here and listen to you tell me that my Abba lied to me, you lying to me, nigga. Because I'm not going to listen to you. I don't want to hear what you have to say. See, that's how you get deceived. See, that's a simpleton's way of thinking, that you feel like on certain areas that you know. See, for me, it's not a belief. I know that the resurrection of the dead is to come. I don't believe that. I know that. You know what I'm saying? I know Yahushua resurrected from the dead. It's not that I believe that he did. I know that he did. I know that he did because he said he did. And my Alahym is not a liar. Because if he wouldn't have rose from the dead, he wouldn't have said it. Period, point blank. That's as simple. That's just easy for me. I'm persuaded in that. I cannot be moved. I cannot be moved. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to listen to you. I don't care what you have to say. You can call me whatever you want to call me, nigga, but that doesn't mean to me. See, I just told my little homie this the other day, and I told them whole niggas that on the phone, because he talking about, what if you had a crowd? I don't care about no crowd, because I don't care about nobody's validation. I don't care if anyone likes me. I don't care if I have to walk the road to Alahym by my doggone self. I don't care if there's a man next to me. I don't care if it's a woman next to me. It makes me absolutely no concern, because I do not do this for the validation of others. I really just don't care. I really just don't care, because this man said, how can I believe if I'm seeking honor one from another and not the honor that comes from him? So if this is the mindset, why do I care what you think or say about me? I don't need your esteem. I don't need your honor. I can't do nothing with it. It's not valuable to me. It's not anything that I can use. It's not. I don't need it. I absolutely don't need it. See, I need that honor to come from Alahym, because if he honored me, that means I live with him forever. You hear people say you only live once. That's a lie from hell. You live twice. The question is, will you die the second death, or will you live forever? See, individuals who don't believe in the resurrection of the dead, they don't believe Yahushua resurrected from the dead. Therefore, they believe our Abba is alive. Because they don't believe the book. But I'm telling you, I told Brother several times, bro, I'm not going to be persuaded. He kept trying to make his point. I told him, bro, you can move on. And when he got to the point that he wanted to prove that Yahweh him, I said, I don't care who you were talking to. I don't care. See, now this is one of the rare instances where I do invoke the authority that I have. You know what I'm saying? Because Will was on there with him. Oh no, we're not talking to him. We out of here. We have nothing else to discuss. We have nothing else to discuss. Now, if he had their numbers and they want to call him and discuss it with him, that would have been their business. But while I'm present and we on this phone and I tell you to stand down, then we walking out the door. And why am I telling you this? Because y'all need to stop sitting there listening to people blaspheme, wanting to hear them out, try to convert them over. Let that wicked man be what he be. I'm not going to sit there and listen to that. That man told you evil communications corrupt good manners. Some of you have not the knowledge of Alahym. I speak this to your shame, because you want to sit there and feel like you need to hear somebody out. Or if I can just be patient with him, I can convert it. I'm good. I'm good. I'm not going to sit there and listen to that. I'm going to read that verse to you again. Being grieved that they taught the people and preached through Yahushua, the resurrection from the dead. That's why we preach what we preach. A lot of dudes ain't going to talk about that, but I believe that, boy. Boy, I have an earnest expectation of receiving a resurrection from the dead. If my eyes shut right now, my heart stopped beating, and my brain stopped working. I have an earnest expectation for that. I will go to my grave with that expectation. Wholeheartedly. I pray you that you have the same root of belief. And when you know root of belief, we talking about a mob. So I would hope that you affirm and steadfast and being locked into that promise. And if you don't, I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for you. My soul mourns for you, because clearly you're wasting your time. Nevertheless, therefore it was eventide. Howbeit many of them which heard the word believed. The number of the men was about 5,000. And it came to pass on the morrow, that their rulers and elders and scribes, and Ananias the high priest, and Capheus, and John, and Alexander, and many as were of kindred of the high priest, were gathered together at Jerusalem. And when they had set them in the midst, they asked, by what power, what name have you done this? And Peter, filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, said unto them, you rulers of the people and elders of Yasharal, if we this day be examined of the good deed done to this impotent man, by what means is he made whole? Be it known unto you all and all the people of Yasharal, that by the name of Yahushua HaMashiach of Nazareth, whom you crucified, whom Alahym raised from the dead, even by him do this man stand before you whole. This is the stone which was set at naught of you builders, which has become the head of the corner. Neither is there salvation in any other, for there is none other name under Shamahim given among men whereby we must be saved. Now, when they saw the boldness of Peter and John, perceived that they were unlearned and ignorant men, they marveled, and they took knowledge of them that they had been with Yahushua. Them boys said they had to sit down. He said, oh yeah, he ran with confidence. He said they too confident. People running around here saying they got a Ruach of Yahuwah in them. Well, I should say the Ruach of Alahym, Ruach of Mashiach. And you ain't even got the heart to stand for him in the sight of other people, because you care about a nigga feelings. Hello. You care about if people gonna accept you, like you, but they gonna think about you. You a coward. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, and you remember what coward is? That's running away from adversity, not wanting to deal with conflict. This man already told you he didn't come to bring peace but a sword. So you have to be willing to deal with the conflict that comes for standing for his name. You have to deal with the conflict of boldly proclaiming that Yahushua rose from the dead, and all that believe on his name will rise with him upon his return. You have to proclaim that boldly. If a nigga want to come to you, that's that Christian stuff pie in the sky. Well, burn in hell then, nigga. You ain't got to tell him that, but you telling him that when you dust your feet off. Well, you can have that, bro, because I'm not finna argue with you about it. You ain't got to believe it. You ain't got to believe it. You ain't got to believe it. But one thing I know, Yahushua died, and on the third day he rose again, and all that are in him will rise with him. Because the man told you, your dead men gonna live with my dead body. That's what he told you. That's what he told you. See, that's the strength of the last Adam. I'm not calling on the name of Yahuwah. See, when you call on the name of Yahuwah, that's how shalom. This is how you get the everlasting. Ain't talking about nothing. These boys ain't talking about nothing. Dudes is out here capping and flogging. Just talking to them young boys the other day. I wager that they're young. It didn't sound like they were men of any a reputable age. That just showed me how so many people gonna follow the beast. I pray that don't be the fate of any of you. It also showed me that people don't love righteousness. They don't love what's right. They don't love righteous men. Talking with that young woman yesterday, I could just sit back and see a lot of these women who deal with the word, they bitter skank hoes. And when I say bitter skank hoes, they have the mentality of a whore. Not that they sleep around, that they just despise masculinity, any manner of authority, and restriction on their ability to say what they want and to go where they want and to do what they want, and feel like a man's whole duty in life is to appease her every emotional thought, whim, and concern, but be a man at the same time. But when you turn around and you look at Alahym, he cares not for any of those things, because Alahym is going to be Alahym, and you're going to serve him how he said you're going to serve him, or he will not fool you. See, he demands obedience and submission and respect off the top. He demands it. And how does he demand it? By not allowing anything other in his presence. See, a lot of people think demanding respect is being boisterous and being loud, being belligerent, and this, that, and the third. It's not tolerating any form of disrespect to go unchecked. Yahuwah does not allow disrespect to him to go unchecked. He is going to check you for it. But see, the beauty of Alahym is that he will check you for it when he's ready to do it. Shalom, man. He gonna do it when he's ready to do it. The beauty. He gonna do it when he's ready to do it. So come on back over here, John chapter 5. That's the beauty, man. You can pick it up at verse 39. I know we said it already, but we're gonna read it again because it's relevant to the point that we're making. We got to make sure that this man essence is in our body, because we all gonna leave him. And I just say that because, of course, some of you may be found to be alive at the Lord's coming. But just in general, we're gonna leave here. We're gonna leave here. You better leave here in good standing with a good report of faith, or you going to hell. You know what I'm saying? And ain't nobody gonna tell us this. And I ain't even talking about the go to hell part. I'm talking about having that good report of faith and have this man's spirit inside of you. Ain't nobody telling nobody, nobody's impressing that. All we worried about is, oh, Babylon falling down. Babylon falling is the least of your concerns, son. It's the least of your concerns. Because if you know the text before Babylon fall, that the man of sin gonna rule in the earth. Well, you're gonna have to serve Yahuwah, serve the devil. And all you worry about is Babylon falling. That's what that ignorant boy said on all this stuff. This boy said Mashiach done came back. That's why this stuff happening in the earth. He judging the nations. I said, boy, you got to be stupid. I said, I wish I could see your face so I could see the definition of stupid visually. He said, why you keep calling me stupid? Because you are. See, if you weren't proclaiming to be a learned man of the word, I wouldn't have called you those things. But since you say that you learn in the word and that you can teach me, and I ain't got no word in me, then by all means, all bets is off. And now I'll treat you like Elijah treated the prophets of Baal. I will mock you to your face, and I'll be a level of disrespect that you would not even think be possible from somebody who recite the living words of Alahym, because you're not a servant of Alahym. You're a bastard, and your daddy should have not even ejaculated in your mother, and your mother should have swallowed you, and someone should have bust you upside the head with a baseball bat in your youth, so you would not have functional brain capacity, because you're taking the words of Alahym and you slaying souls with it. So how am I going to stand before you and have some level of respect for a murderer? See, most people who deal with work, they're not going to look at them in that fashion. They are brother. He ain't none of my brother. Don't you tell that lie. He deserves to be told that he's stupid and that his work is trash and that he has no earthly business handling the word of Alahym. Period, point blank. You don't get these dudes no pass because you ain't giving Creflo Dollar no pass. You ain't giving TD Jakes no pass. You ain't giving that other pastor who like to wear them little behind pants no pass. You ain't giving Jamal Bryant no pass, but because this dude put on a Hebrew t-shirt and say he know he approved, you gonna give him a pass. I will not. I will not. We serve Alahym. Alahym don't give passes. If you foul, you foul. If you're sour, you're sour. Especially if you say you coming in his name and your work is trash. Then I'm gonna tell you to your face your work is trash. Even more so because he came to me. I ain't called him, he called me. So you stepped on my block with this trash though. You think I'm finna sit here and tell you it's fine? You lying to me. John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me, and you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you that you have not the love of Alahym in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. Another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. So you know if he's coming in the name of Yahuwah, that his father's name is contained in that. And he said he's coming in that name. That's why you got to call upon the name of Yahushua. That's why I say baptize him in the name of the Father, the Son, the Ruach HaKodesh. All that is contained in the name of Yahushua. But that's another conversation for another time. We dealt with it in the past. Who are willing, sooner rather than later, we'll revisit it. Remember what it said? He said, publish greatness to our Alahym. This is what we're springing from Deuteronomy 32, right? But I want you to come over here to 1 John chapter 3. That's what I want you to do. I want you to come over here to 1 John chapter 3. So we get a lot of passes to a lot of folly. 3 and 1, if you would. We give a lot of passes to a lot of folly. We know dudes work trash. We know dudes be evil for real. We know dudes don't be believing who call themselves edifying this people, and you won't call them out for it. And Yahushua will call these men out to their face. To their face. Not go sit back with their friends and people who believe the same as them, and he call them out to their face, and then go tell his apostles how stupid the boys was, and for them not to listen to them, and why they should not listen to them. That's the difference. I done been on shows with dudes and called them out to their face. Well, your work is trash. You clearly don't believe the word. No, I'm not your brother. Because I'm not seeking acceptance. So you have to get out of your mind to stop seeking acceptance. You need to be accepted by Alahym. What good is it to be accepted by the crowd, but rejected by your God? I don't want to be accepted by Hebrew community. Hebrew community cannot give me everlasting life. They can't give me that. If they're of Alahym, then we'll connect just on the strength of that. If two people of Alahym, that's what's going to cause them to have a kinship. That's what he told you. I'm a companion of all those. It doesn't matter where he's from, what congregation he's a part of. It doesn't matter. If he's of Alahym and you are Alahym, you're going to link. That's what we be missing. Because you got dudes be like, oh, they ain't going to deal with somebody who's part of this congregation. I don't care what congregation you are part of. It means absolutely nothing to me. If you of Alahym, to individual fellowships. If an individual believes that, he's devoid of all understanding. If an individual believes restricted to specific fellowships, he is devoid of all understanding. My hope and prayer that I live in Alahym is that there are servants of his in every fellowship on the face of the earth. But I know it's several that they probably ain't nobody there. That's not of him anyway. I take that back. They might be of him, and it's just when Yahuwah see fit to remove them from that organization, that the scales might be lifted off their eyes and the hardness of their hearts might be removed, and he give them a heart of flesh. So I retract. But it would be my hope in Alahym that there's men and women that belong to him in every fellowship on the earth, because he's not restricted to, oh, he only over here, he only over there, he only over here, he only over here. That's nigga talk. That's nigga talk. You know what I'm saying? That's not godly talk. Nobody in the book of Acts sat around and felt like we the only godly fellowship in Asia Minor. That's vain. That's vanity and pride. That's pure foolishness. Foolishness. Nevertheless, 1 John chapter 3, verse. Because and this is the point we're making. I need to go back and grab all the points that they mentioned on that. That's going to go into that to interweave their answers, because I asked them to spin the wheel. When you're able to begin to call upon the name of Alahym, call upon the name of Yahuwah, this is what allow you to be able to become a son of Alahym. So 1 John chapter 3, verse 1. Behold, what manner of love hath Abba bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of Alahym. Therefore the world know us not, because it knew him not. Beloved, now we are the sons of Alahym. It do not appear what we shall be, but we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. See, that went back to the point. Remember when he told Philip, he said, Philip, how long time I've been with you and you still haven't known me? See, that goes back to the point that I mentioned earlier, that you can't look at a man from the vantage point of a woman. Like that woman, you can't look at that man and expect him to behave like you. You have to see him as he is. That man, you can't look at that woman and expect her to behave like a man. You got to see her as she is. See, you can't look at Alahym and see him for what you want to see him for. You have to see him as he is, because you know him. See, if you know women, then you'll know how to deal with her. You'll see her as she is. If you're a woman and you know how to interact with a man, you're going to see him as a man, and you're going to see him as he is. And if you know Alahym, then you're going to see Alahym for who he is, because you're going to understand that he is not like you. See, people don't know Alahym. That's why they can't see him. See, a lot of our brothers feel like knowing him is knowing Sabbaths and feasts and not eating pork, and that's not knowing him. Because most of these brothers don't know righteousness, and they don't know judgment, and they don't know mercy, and they don't know faith, and they don't know compassion, they don't know grace, and they don't know long suffering, and they don't know faith, and they don't know joy, and they don't know peace. They don't know any of these things. They don't know goodness, and they don't know truth. So how in the world do you know him? Nevertheless, and every man that have this hope in him purify himself, even as he is pure. Whosoever commits sin transgress also the law, for sin is transgression of the law. And you know that he was manifested to take away our sins, and in him is no sin. Let's return back to Deuteronomy 32. So we can scratch that off our bucket list. Let's go back and scratch off Job 34 and scratch off Zephaniah chapter 3 and move on down the road. See, when you have that hope, and you notice that he said that you would make yourself clean, as Alahym is clean. Let me see. Let me see something real quick. Come over here to Numbers chapter 19. Let's get the Hebrew equivalent for purify. Let's get the Hebrew. We don't want that one now. That is the word for sin that is used for purify there. So you don't want that one. We got the same thing over here. Let me see what we see over here with Job with that word. What word we gonna get for it there? Because you don't want Qatar. You don't want that. But that just seems to be the word all the way around the board. You know what? My apologies. Come to Job 41. Come to Job 41. I pray the Lamb. Praise the Lamb. Job 41. It's funny, because we just talked about this verse that we use it mainly for baptisms, and here we are. Job 41, pick it up at verse 15. Job 41 and 15. He says, the scales of pride shut up together as with a close seal. One is near to another that no air can come between them. They're joined one to another. They stick together. They cannot be sundered. See, this takes you a twofold thing. Saying a Leviathan with his scales. Remember what Yahushua said, what Alahym is brought together, let no man bring asunder. See, I was telling little Brandon this here, man. I'm a Paul right here. It all relates. Because he's always told me about, saying certain things about if a woman commits infidelity on him, which probably has happened to him numerous times in his life, unfortunately. But he did not understand this particular concept. And most brews don't understand this particular concept. You know what I'm saying? And I told this to that young woman the other day. And like this here. And I didn't go into great detail with her on it, but I did with him. Now, y'all know that Deuteronomy 24 about a bill of divorce was written for us, not written for you. Because remember what Yahushua said. He said for Moses, the hardness of your hearts, Moses wrote this precept. But from the beginning, it was not so. See, when you look at it, the first time when you read that, you think he talking about you because you mad with women. But no, he was talking about Yasharal. Our hearts are hard. He told you in Deuteronomy, he has a stiff-necked people. Chapter 9, you've been stiff-necked and stubborn since I known you. This had nothing to do with a man dealing with himself with no woman. It just manifested itself in that fashion. See, a lot of people are like, why did you mention a man and a woman's interaction? Because the text is full of it. You can relate to it. It's how Alahym conveys his relationship between him and his bride. Because you can understand it. Because most of you have a woman. But see, the difference is versus us and Alahym, is Alahym understands his woman, and we do not. We do not. Now, the difference why Alahym understands his is because he created his, but he also gave you the understanding for you to understand her in his word. But we ain't been taught it properly for us to grasp it. Most people just throw verses at you so that you can be able to have the compassion towards her like Alahym has. And so that she could have the respect for you like Yasharal is supposed to. You know what I'm saying? Because a woman should have respect for her man from birth, because she should have every respect for every man that she's ever encountered in her lifetime. Where having respect for her man should be just a natural progression on to the next phase. But unfortunately, that's not the case in this God-forsaken land that we dwell in. But that's neither here nor there. But what I told you is that this man divorced his spouse. We just talked about it last week. He devised the means to bring his banished back to him. And Alahym went and died and rose from the dead to take his wife back. And I was telling the young man, I said, Yahuwah put his wife away. I say, but he didn't stop doing for her. And you can see the example of that in the book of Esther. Because he still stood up. In Babylon, you were exiled. Have you forgotten? You had been put out. That man didn't owe you that right of protection. See, we'll read that story and not understand that you not owed that right of protection. When you read what Samson did and what Barak and Deborah did and what Gideon did, what you have forgotten is that you were out of pocket and he gave you over to those people, but he hadn't divorced you. So he still sent you that level of protection, even still in the land of your captivity, the land of where you have been exiled. Because you've had the opportunity to hear the gospel of Yahushua, he has extended the fact that he is still extending to his wife food, clothing, and the duty of marriage. He's still doing that. See, hold on. Hold Job 41. Come to Exodus 21. I know we looked at this stuff as fourth as, having more than one wife. And, everybody looks at it from their vantage point. And again, that ain't none of my business. Exodus 21:9. But my vantage point is always the son of Alahym. You know what I'm saying? Hallelujah indeed. That's my vantage point every time. Exodus 21:9. If he have betrothed her unto his son, he shall deal with her after the manner of daughters. If he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. Now, when it says wife, it doesn't have wife. It just says if he take him another. Matter of fact, let me just put it like this here. I just give you everything hold of and to seize. When you have another, you have a sure, which is another one following after. But wife is not listed here. It is shahar, and that is flesh, food, body, near kin, near kinswoman, flesh relation, blood relation, or self. That's literally what it says. And you have Shan, Aleph, and Raj. So you can see the power or the strength of being paired to the highest because it says it's of someone of near flesh relation. Now, we read on Wednesday, he said it behooved him to be made like unto his brethren. And he didn't take on him the nature of Malachim, but of the seed of Abraham. Well, why would he take on the seed of Abraham? Our brother had posted something yesterday, and he was like, of these three things, do you believe them, and which was the hardest to believe? The first one is that he made Adam from the dust. The second one was Sarah getting pregnant with Isaac. The third one was being Mashiach, being born of a virgin to redeem man from the curse of Adam. And you know what's funny is that all of them related to the same thing. Because Adam was the promise of Mashiach, because he made him from the dust of the ground, and he promised you that he raised Mashiach from the dead. See, right here, pause. Come to Hebrews 11. Sit there with me. It's a lot of things in my head. I gotta see stuff come through my mind all the time that people be saying. They don't be coming to disparage them or what they were talking about. See, I get inspiration, but not inspiration of what they had, because they thought process was somewhere else. My thought process is somewhere else. I thank Alahym for that. Hebrews chapter 11. You could pick this up at verse 8. Hebrews 11:8. By faith, Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should after receive for inheritance, obeyed and went out, not knowing whither he went. By faith, he sojourned in the land of promise in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles. Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. For he looked for a city which had foundations, whose builder and maker is Alahym. Through faith, Sarah also had herself received strength to conceive seed, and was delivered of a child when she was past age, because she judged him faithful, which had promised. You got to drop down, because that is not what I wanted. Head. So I want y'all to know this here, right, too, also. Oh, I need Romans 4. And it doesn't say wife there. So just know that it doesn't say wife there. It's not what it says. Exodus chapter 4. Come over here to 4 and 16 of Romans chapter 4. That's what I need. In order to say near kinswoman. Who can be a near kinswoman in the house of Yasharal? Now see, pause. You know what? I'm going to do it just like that. Bear with me. Come on with it. Romans 4 and 16. Therefore, it is of faith that it might be of grace, of the end of the promise might be sure to all the seed, not only that which is of the law, but that which is of faith, of Abraham, who is father of us all. As it is written, I have made you a father of many nations. Before him whom he believed, even Alahym, who quickened the dead, and called those things which be not as though they were, who against hope believed in hope, that he might become the father of many nations, according to that which was spoken, so shall your seed be. And not being weak in faith, he considered not his own body dead, now dead, but when he was about 100 years old, neither yet the deadness of Sarah's womb. See, when you sit back and you look at it and you go into the grave, remember it's the pit that has no water. That's the symbolic of the deadness of her womb. Yet a seed was promised to come out of a dead place, and out of death, life brought forth. Nevertheless, he staggered not at the promise of Alahym through unbelief, but was strong in faith, giving esteem to Alahym, and being fully persuaded that what he had promised he was able to perform, and therefore it was imputed to him for righteousness. You know what I'm saying? See, a lot of us don't sit back and look at that the belief in Allah situation that doesn't seem tangible and practical before your eyesight, he is able to perform because he said he would. But again, all of this is sitting back showing you that the greatness and goodness of Alahym for Alahym to be manifested in the flesh. Now, I see what something else came to my mind. Give me a second for it to come back. Just give me this in my mind for a second. Y'all willing to return it. But come back to Job 41 if you want. Oh, that's what it was. Come over here to the book of Genesis. Praise the Lamb. And we're going to come back. Genesis probably about what? Chapter 20. Genesis chapter 20. So we're talking about a near kinswoman. So those of you that have been around a while should already know what it is. Genesis chapter 21. Abraham journeyed from thence towards the south country and dwelled between Kadesh and Shur and sojourned in Gerar. And Abraham said of Sarah his wife, she is my sister. And Amalek, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. But I dreamed by night and said to him, behold, you are but a dead man for the woman which you have taken, for she is a man's wife. See, that's another thing I was telling the little homie this here too, right? You know what I'm saying? All that saying somebody your wife, boy, well, you got to have some paperwork for that, boy. Because back then, nigga, take your old lady, boy. You can't prove that's your wife. Well, nigga, take it, boy. Prove that's your wife. If the king want to come through and say, boy, she coming with me, and you ain't got no way to prove that that's your wife, and she ain't got no way to prove she belong to you, she gone, cuz. That junk these niggas be around here talking about, boy, it's nigga taking your old lady, boy, ain't nothing you can do about it. You gonna sit there and grit your teeth and stamp your feet, but you gonna go home and beat your meat because you ain't got no wife no more, but she gone. And you ain't nothing you're going to be able to do about it. See, let's continue. And Amalek said, had not come near her, and he said, Lord, will you slay also a righteous nation? Said he, not unto me, she is my sister. She even herself said, he is my brother, and the integrity of my heart and innocency of my hands have I done this. Alahym said unto him in a dream, yeah, I know that you did this in the integrity of your heart. I also withhold you from sinning against me. Therefore, I suffered you to touch her, to not touch her. See, that goes you back to that point where he tell you, if you're righteous, well, he give you a way out. See, that was a righteous man. So he said, I ain't gonna let you sin against me, because I knew it wasn't in your heart to sin. So I'm not gonna allow you to go do something that you thought was correct. That's not correct. I'm not gonna let you do it. But see, most people in this day and time, it's in your heart to do wrong. But let's continue. See, that's the difference between Mashiach, the integrity of his heart. It wasn't in his heart to do wrong. Because it's not in the heart of Alahym to do wrong. Now, therefore, restore the man his wife, for he is a prophet, and he shall pray for you, and you shall live. If you restore her not, know that you shall die, and all that are yours. Now let's pause and let's look at this here, man. Just bear with me. We got Exodus 21 and Job 41. I also got to get Proverbs 9 in here some way, somehow. If we're willing, we'll work it all in. But I want you to look at restore. You know what it is. It's shuv. So give her back. A man has taken your wife and taken her captive. That's what he's done. Guess what? Satan had you all your lifetime in the bondage. He's taking you captive. That's why he said that whoever commits sin is the servant of sin. And if the son shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. He had restored the man his wife. He said he gonna pray for you and you gonna live if you give her back. That's why I told you the prince of this world is judged. So they couldn't do nothing but give her back. But if you don't give her back, you're going to die. So when you sit back and you look at this here, right, this story, when you look at Amalek, what his name means, you know, my father is the king. He say, my father is the king. He say, restore him. Restore back the father, the exalted father. Restore back his princess. Because if you don't do it, you're going to die. See, irregardless, right? Whether Satan is obedient, disobedient, his father is still the king. See, he's created everybody. Now, some are his seed, but he's the father of all because he made all. But some of his seed ain't right. Let me say not his seed, some of his creation, they ain't right. Some of his children they rebellious children. They don't know they don't know their master, nor where they dwell. Rebellious children. That's what he told you in Isaiah, they rebel. See, Satan was a rebellious child. Rebellious child. He gonna have to let that baby go. You got to get that princess back to her father. Restore her. But let's continue. He said, therefore Amalek rose in the morning and called his servants and told these things in their ears. The man was so afraid. Then Amalek called Abraham and said unto him, what have you done unto us? What have I offended you, that you brought on me and on my kingdom a great sin? You have done these unto me that ought not to be done. Amalek said unto Abraham, what saw you that you have done this thing? Abraham said, because I thought surely the fear of Alahym is not in this place. They will slay me for my wife's sake. Now, y'all already know this. Y'all already know they slayed Yahushua for his wife's sake. Because all of those people during the time of Mashiach were professing that their father was the king. Remember, he said, whom you say is your Alahym. He said, it came to pass. He said, yet indeed she is my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother. And she became my wife. It came to pass when Alahym caused me to wander from my father's house, that I said unto her, this is your kindness, which you shall show unto me at every place whither we shall come, say of me, he is my brother. This is when he sit back and like, who is my brother? Who is my sister? Who is my mother? But those that do the will of Alahym. So even though you are his wife, because you are his father's daughter, but not the father of his mother, but his father's daughter, you are his near kinswoman, whom he has redeemed. Come on back over here to Exodus 21. That's what you get to that when you see that, when you look at Exodus 21 and 10, when it tells you if he take him another wife or a near kinswoman. It also can mean as food or shahar, but again, that's flesh, food, body, near kin, near kinswoman, flesh relation, blood relation. We're blood related to him because of Abraham. And it says her raiment and duty of marriage, you will not diminish. And we'll look at duty of marriage. And of course, that's onah. That is conjugal rights. That is cohabitation, or meaning to dwell together. So I want you to sit back and look at ayin, noon, and hey. Ayin, noon, ayin, noon, and hey. Remember, it means to dwell together. Also sexual cohabitation, but also to dwell together. To dwell together. Oh, nah, ayin, noon, and hey. Because see, this is still going to come back to the way he is, how Yahusha is Alahym, because only Alahym can dwell with you. And he never forsook his wife, even though he got rid of her, because he still dwelt with her. He still cohabitated with her. You don't believe me? John chapter 14. Maybe you'll believe the Lord. I praise Alahym for the word. See, unfortunately, in this day and time, most women, and when I say women, I'm talking about natural women, and I'm talking about Yasharal too. They don't want to cohabitate with a righteous man. And you know why Yasharal don't want to cohabitate with that righteous man? Because they're going to be restricted in their conduct. They're going to have to yield to his will, and they can't do what they want to do no more. And a lot of us don't want to stop doing what we want to do. You know, he told you that in Jeremiah. You seek great things for yourself, seek them not. That's a lot of our biggest problems is we seek a lot of things instead of seeking what you ought to be seeking. because the things that you're going to reap from him are greater than the things that you're going to put together in your own mind. We don't see it that way because we've allowed this world, we've been caught up in the visions of frailty, of the vanity of our own mind and our own plans and our own will, that we can't see the greatness of conforming to his will and just following his pathway. Because following his pathway does not lead to self-aggrandizement and self-fulfillment. And you've been deceived through this world that fulfilling your hopes and your dreams and your plans for yourself are override fulfilling the plans and vision of Alahym. And that's where we get the game twisted. And that's why we don't reap the benefits of the word. That's why a lot of people in the word are frustrated, why a lot of people are miserable, why a lot of people are sad, angry, bitter, and all type of things. Because just like in the time of David with the Ark of the Covenant, we don't seek him after the due order. That's the problem. John chapter 14, verse 21. He that have my commandments and keep them, he it is that love me, and he that love me shall be loved of my Abba, and I will love him, and will manifest myself to him. Judah said unto him, not Israel, Lord, how is it that you will manifest yourself unto us and not unto the world? Yahushua answered and said unto him, if a man love me, he will keep my words, and my Abba will love me. He will come unto me and make our abode with him. He will cohabitate with you. Now, again, we were talking about this aspect with Adam being made from the dust, or coming from the darkness or the deadness of a womb. We sit back and look at Isaac being born to Sarah, who was dead from a womb. And then turn around, because remember that the ground is Adamah, which is the same as coming from a woman's womb. And you see that in regards with Mary being inseminated by the Ruach HaKodesh, or the seed, because the seed is the word of Alahym, and a son was brought forth from her womb. All three of these men were symbolic, because Isaac, is described as being Abraham's only son, even though you know that he had produced Ishmael at the time. He is described as his only son. Adam is described as the son of Alahym in Luke chapter 3. And we know that Yahushua is the son of Alahym. So you see the prevailing three things from those three witnesses. All three of these witnesses are manifesting the proof positive of the promise of Alahym, that Alahym would manifest himself in the flesh by reason of his word, exalted Father, who was of the promise. Adam is the son of Alahym, who was created by the hands of Yahushua, and Yahushua is the only begotten son of Alahym, and manifested himself on this physical plane to perform the purpose of what Isaac was manifested for, which was the fulfilling of the promise of making a seed which no man could number, or i.e., him being the exalted Father and fulfilling the word that was sworn to Abraham from the beginning, showing forth that the living Alahym is just, true, righteous altogether, and all that place their hope in him will not be ashamed, but names shall be written in the book of everlasting life of the Lamb, and dwell with him in his kingdom in everlasting peace and joy. I've told y'all this before, and I'll tell you again. See, joy is better than happiness, because happiness changes. Many of you are seeking to be happy, and you will never be fulfilled. You ought to seek joy, but you can't seek joy, because joy is not something that comes into you through the aspects of self-aggrandizement and self-fulfillment. Happiness comes through self-fulfillment. So you're happy when you do the things that you want to do, the things that you like to do, and the things that you desire to do. The joy of Alahym comes forth when you rest in what he wants you to do and what he delights for you to do, and fulfilling his will. That's where the joy comes from. If you don't do those things, then you won't have the joy of Alahym, because you don't delight to do his will. So therefore, could you delight in it? So I was telling that young woman this yesterday, and of course, paralleling it with the word. The woman's objective is to be a mother and a wife, and to serve the desire of her husband and delight in doing so. But the average modern woman in this society does not delight to do anything for a man. And I've told you this on numerous occasions. The more that if you know that you have an honorable man, if you know that you have a righteous man, a just man, and you delight in fulfilling his will and delight in pleasing him, that man, there's nothing that's going to be restrained from you. There's nothing that's going to be restrained from you. Because Alahym told you that. Yahusha told you that. He said, anything that you ask in my name, I'll give it if you do my will. We already talked about that in First Chronicles chapter 28. Forthwith kafats to take pleasure and delight in the man's will. You know what I'm saying? We don't take a delight in doing that. And he's not going to take a delight in fulfilling your desires. Why would he? Why would Alahym take a delight in honoring your supplications and prayers when you don't even delight to serve him and honor him and esteem him like you're supposed to? And if you don't even take a delight in doing that to your husband, who is in the image of Alahym, then he knows that you don't take a delight to do it to him. So therefore, you still won't have your desires held back. I've seen a woman sit back and say, a woman should check her man and say, Abigail checked Nabal. See, that's how I know that whole stupid. Because Abigail did not check Nabal, not nary time. What Abigail did was went to be an intercessor on behalf of her husband that he would not be slain. Because David did not promise to kill Abigail. He promised to kill everything that pissed against the wall. And she didn't even tell him what David was going to do. She did not initially tell him that. That woman didn't sit back and say, my husband wicked, so I'm going to go check him. That woman wouldn't have done that. She's not a 2020 woman. That woman's a woman of antiquity. She was going to hold her peace and let him be stupid. She was going to serve her Alahym. She wasn't going to put her salvation at risk to prove no point. Them women weren't going to go up and check no man. Check him for what? That's not her place. But she knew her husband was stupid. See, this is the point where I'm talking about. She saw that man from the vantage point of who he was, and she knew how to move accordingly in dealing with him. Because she saw him for who he was, not who she wanted him to be. Not who she created him to be in her mind. She know Nabal is his name and folly is with him. Y'all know this nigga stupid. You know what I'm saying? Don't kill him because he's stupid. He can't help it. Don't let the words of this idiot be offense to my Lord, because he dumb. Yahuwah will do that. That's what she did. She saved her husband's life because she said, well, he gonna kill him. I don't want him to do it. He gonna kill him. But that's just an aspect of where a lot of women minds at. You think you a man and think that you can go check a man. But just know that if you feel like you can go check a man, you're gonna have to take what come along with that. You can't go around and screaming you a woman if you go check a man and he come back to you like a man. Because you stepped in that arena. You decided to be masculine. Now you're going to have to deal with what being masculine is. Because you're going to have to be able to stand on your 10 toes and take, and we're not talking about nobody being violent, but you're going to have to take the ability to take that back and forth and that verbal volley because you felt like you was man enough to go check a man. Because that's not a woman's place. That's not a woman's place. That's Yahuwah and the men around him place to check him. If he out of pocket. You see, now, like I said, Abigail's situation was different. She was seeking to spare this man. See, Abigail had the joy of Alahym, so she was happy regardless if her husband was smart or whether he was dumb. Because he says a woman of great understanding. You can't have a great understanding and not have the joy of Alahym. Again, the joy of Alahym comes, and as I stated here, if a man desires to make you his wife, then yes, that is an honor. He's seeking to bestow honor upon you. But a lot of women in this society don't see that as an honor in regards to fulfilling that duty. No different than a lot of men don't see that as an honor of fulfilling the duty. We're talking about in a godly fashion, not in a natural sense, because it's honorable to get married in the eyesight of Alahym. When we're talking about people who serve Alahym, how do you not see it honorable in serving your husband? It's like I told Brandon this here the same thing. When you talk, I ain't getting married, I ain't getting no legal contract. I say, you know what most of y'all brood problem is? How can you say you a righteous man and you worry about a woman divorcing you and taking half your stuff? That means you would have had to win and pursued you a sinner. You would have had to win and pursued you an ungodly, uncouth woman, to where that would even be a concern. Because it says Yahuwah, a prudent wife, come from Yahuwah. So you would have a circumspect. So Yahuwah would bring you together with a woman for her to divorce you and split from you. That means you couldn't have been from you of Yahuwah for you to even be for him to even join you to such a dastardly woman. To such a dastardly woman. That wouldn't happen. How could that happen? But again, it's because we see things from our own standpoint. Because see, like I told you before, you want a righteous woman in the image that you want her in, and a woman wanting a righteous man in the image that she wants him in, and then both of them miss out on both and have nothing. Or a wicked person. And that's what ended up happening with us. Why you here in America upset about Trump and Joe Biden and talking about why the Attorney General of Kentucky did not press charges against killing a senator. I seen a brother had said this here man and they got mad with it. Talking about, oh, you saying the police should have killed this woman? And he said, you know what, her choices put her in that position. See, this is what they missed. Not that they were saying that the young man who she was in there with was a drug dealer, but that she had a history of dealing with those type of men. And according to the paperwork, one of those men had listed her address as his address. And all that points to is that sometimes how your decisions can catch up with you, even when you have left them alone. Because by all accounts, she says, you know, you got you a nigga who's not doing that. Sometimes the consequences of your choices catch up with you, even when you think that you turned the corner, when you're outside the will of Alahym. Oh, I don't doubt that at all. I ain't really followed it that closely and looked at the ritualistic, Kabbalistic aspects of it, but I wouldn't doubt it at all. I wouldn't doubt it at all. That definitely would have a ritual sacrifice to one of these people deities. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just of the choices that you make, and you can't determine when those consequences arrive. Sometimes they're immediate, sometimes they're delayed, but they still come nonetheless. And the thing that people don't want to deal with is the accountability. Oh no, you good. You good, yo. It's the accountability. You know what I'm saying? And again, that's not to say that them people should kick the door in and went blazing. But of course they went to blazing because they got shot at. But it's all about your choices and decisions that you make. See, I told that young woman, I say the things that she described, what her man did, I said, you got an honorable man. So you'd be a fool to not humble yourself and try to repair that, because the breach is because of you. Because you don't get too many honorable men in life, I can tell you that. You don't get too many. Matter of fact, you only get one. You only get one. And if you mess that up, you ain't getting another one. That's no different than if a dude run. See, a dude got a greater chance of running across a virtuous woman than a woman does a righteous man. But the likelihood of that happening is very, very, very small. If he got one, you ain't getting another one. But you know why you ain't getting another one? Because if you didn't know what to do with the first one, why would you know what to do with the second one? Because if it come from Alahym and you reject and don't appreciate what come from Alahym, why would Alahym give you another one? It makes no sense. If you know him, he don't operate like that. He don't operate like that. See, he did that for us. He said, you ain't know how to act, so I came down here in the flesh. But he said, boy, if you reject this sacrifice, you ain't getting another one. Hebrews 10 and 25 for confirmation. That's why I tell you this here, because it's all going to come back to Alahym one way or another. It's coming back to him. And then you can weigh and consider for yourself. Hebrews 10 and 26. You ain't got to take my word for it, but you can take the word of Alahym for it. Y'all got anything for the Ayin, Noon, and Hey? You can share it. If not, I'll get it to you, and we'll keep it moving. It says, Hebrews 10 and 26, for if we sin willfully after we receive the knowledge of the truth, there remain no more sacrifice for sins, but a certain fearful looking for of judgment and fiery indignation which shall devour the adversaries. He that despised Moses' Torah died without mercy under 2 or 3 witnesses. Of how much sore punishment suppose ye shall he be thought worthy, who trodden under the foot of the son of Alahym, and have counted the blood of the covenant, wherewith he was sanctified, an unkadosh thing, and have done despite unto the ruach of grace. Oh, he thinks so. Oh, you trample under that? Oh, you think you're gonna get another one? Oh, that's what you thought? Because you thought that wasn't worthy enough? Oh, you thought I'd give you another one because you counted that one as trash. Oh, it wasn't up to your specification. Oh, it didn't come how you wanted it to come. It didn't do what you wanted it to do. So you thought, I'm gonna give you another. Oh no. Oh no. You ain't getting nothing. You ain't getting nothing. You're not getting another. Yahusha was your other one. He was your other one. Now you got see the seed and behold. See, we got ayin, we got a little ooh, so you can sit back and say that you're secured to life. And you can sit back and take that hay and be that man with raised arms, and that you know that Yahusha secures you to life because you cohabitate with him. That's why I say that what we read in 1 John chapter 3. You know that Yahusha secured life. You know it. You know it. Not you think it, not that you believe it, you know it. That's why he can cohabitate with him. And of course, raiment is self-explanatory. That's self-explanatory. That's kus. That's your covering for concealment. That's kaf, samak, u, and tau. You know what I'm saying? So you take that kaf and you see that you grabbed hold and been subdued and you secured the covenant. Because the only way that you can secure that covenant is to be subdued or to be humbled. Most of us don't want to humble ourselves. Unfortunately, most of our women don't want to humble themselves to their husband, just like these men don't want to humble themselves to their husband. See, that's the problem in the whole earth, is that the men are submitting to Alahym and the women don't want to submit to the men. And then the men are upset because the women won't submit to them, but you haven't submitted to him who's over you. And then on top of that, why get upset about a woman who won't submit? See, this is where the problem come in at. You're supposed to ascertain what she submit before you married her. You can't complain about her not submitting after you married her. Because, see, but that goes back to the other point, a conversation we had a long time ago. How can you determine if a woman is wife material? I've told you before, if you're not married to a woman, she is not obligated to do anything. Just like you're not obligated to do anything. But if she's a wife caliber woman and he's a husband caliber man, they're going to do it anyway. Not because they're trying to impress you. See, this is the thing what a lot of people do. They do stuff to try to impress you, to win you over. Not to impress you, because that's just simply who they are. And if you couldn't recognize that, or if you mistreated and misused that, then that would be a loss for you, because they would not adjust who they are because you're a jackass. See, Alahym did not adjust who he was because we're stiff-necked. He didn't do that. He didn't do that. I am who I am, regardless if you acknowledge it or not. It doesn't matter. And that's what we don't understand. Now, I told that young woman this yesterday. I said, you know what people like to do? You like to do the stuff that you should do with the righteous man, with the nigga who's trash. So you can come out here and say niggas is trash to justify the fact that you don't want to submit and follow, that you want to have control over a weak man. The same token that men do stuff with the bald-headed hoes. So they can turn around and say all women are hoes and this, that, and the third, because of the masculinity that you're going to have to exhibit of dealing with a virtuous woman. So you don't want to do that. So you don't want to fool with her. You're not going to extend her that same benefit that you extended to that hoe. Because that hoe will let you be less than a man. That hoe will let you be a beta male simp mangina. That hoe will let you be a buster. That hoe will let you be a sucker. Because all she cares about is getting the benefits that you give her. And all you care about is benefiting off of her physical. Because you don't value and respect yourself enough to demand a woman of higher value. So you'll stay with that. Because that woman of higher value, you're going to have to be a man. You don't want to be one. You don't want, that's no different with the woman picking a man of lower value and giving him all the benefits because you don't want to be a woman. You want a man that you can dominate and control and dictate to. Because that man is not going to allow you to do what you want to do. He's not going to allow it. He's not going to allow it. You're going to have to be a woman. And most people don't want to do it. So then when you come to Alahym, see, you don't want to give him the benefits that you gave to them idol gods that you serve with joy. Because you're going to have to humble yourself. You're going to have to be subdued in his presence for him to cover you with his ruach. See, people say covering. I ain't talking about no covering like I'm protecting you. That man said he give you a covering, that fine linen, which is the righteousness of the saints. That man ain't giving you no garment. He ain't giving you no raiment that you don't deserve. If you're not going to be subdued, if you're not going to grab hold to it, if you're not going to grab hold to humility, be secure to his covenant, what is he giving you his covenant? What is he giving you a garment for? What is he giving you clothing for? He ain't giving it to you. Nevertheless, Job 41. Like I said, it all comes back to that one key point, and that's humility on both sides of the ledger. No side is no gender is free from that. There has to be some manner of subduing. Somebody got to humble themselves. And the sad part is that none of us want to do it. We're in Job 41 and 18. None of us want to do it. Shoot, Peter told you if you humble yourself to Alahym, he'll exalt you in due time. Remember, the book tell you that with a virtuous woman. Say favor is deceitful, beauty is vain, but a woman who fears Yahuwah, she shall be praised. If you fear Yahuwah, you're going to humble yourself and serve your husband, he will exalt you. It tell you that a husband prays in the gates, and he telling people about it. She going to be praised and honored everywhere. Her name going to be known. She say, the other sisters have done righteously, but you have excelled them all. We don't have that type of understanding. But this also coming to key point, and you young men have to know this here, and you can't get upset with it. It's that a woman is going to use you for her benefit. That's just what they do. Don't be mad. It ain't right. It ain't wrong. It ain't nothing. It's just what it is. Don't be upset about it. See, a lot of things that y'all learn about women, you get mad with them about it. Don't get upset about it. Just understand that's just what it is, and you conduct yourself like a man is supposed to. Don't be in your feelings about them being no woman. That would be like Alahym being in his feelings because you a man and he no man is privy to fire. I'm willing to come on off of that, man. Good grief. That's like Alahym being upset with man. He no man privy to folly. So I'm mad with you because you privy to folly. No, that's where your understanding come in at. That's where your self-control come in at. That's where your compassion and mercy come in at. That's why he tell you to dwell with the weaker vessel according to knowledge, because you're supposed to know that. Young woman I was talking to yesterday, she was told me like, yeah, my husband, he would always mess with me, tell me I was too emotional and too sensitive. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes some women are a little bit too sensitive. But I say, but most of it coming at is that men do not understand that this is an emotional creature. And that your duty is to help her understand how she feels when she's in an emotional state by giving her the reassurance and walking her through her emotions and not just ignoring them. Because what that does when you do that, when she bring them to you in that regard, that she's emotional and you just feel like you just brush it off, it weakens the bond. And when it weakens the bond, see the reason everything that you got going on to get to Yahuwah because he is your refuge. So, woman, you should take. See, you can't sit back if you got issues going on. You can't say that you can't bring it to your husband unless he has batted them down on a continual basis. If you haven't consistently brought any emotional or mental turmoil that you have for him to untangle it, because I hear women all the time, I don't want him to fix it. I just want him to listen. See, that's stupidity. See, that is you wanting your man to be your girlfriend because you talk to your girlfriends just to talk because you know that it's not in their nature to solve a problem. See, you're going to a man with an issue and get upset with him because he seeks to solve the problem. See, when you say, I don't want you to fix it, I just want you to listen, you want a woman with a penis. Don't go to that man with a problem and then be shocked when he try to give you a solution to fix it. Because now it's no longer a problem. Nobody wants to hear constant complaining about something that can be fixed, because men don't do that. If there's an issue, they seek to come up with a solution to where it is no longer an issue that is abated and it is dismissed and it is evaporated, and they can move on and no longer have to deal with whatever hang up that was. But you would have to understand that that woman is emotional. She will overthink, and she will take a Rubik's Cube out of the simplest of matters. And all you have to do is twist the Rubik's Cube and help her understand what it is. She's reassured. She will strongly serve you. She will move on because she knows that you are a refuge for her, that she can come and take rest. And that's the same thing you do with Alahym. Because you in this flesh, you get confused, your flesh get itchy, you got temptations and all of these things, and you take it to Yahuwah, and through his ruach and through his word, he reassures you and untangles them for you and points that out, and now you are cohabitating him with him in a stronger fashion. But you have to be willing to take that to him. See, a lot of us, you want people to ask you what's wrong with you. You want your man to ask you what's wrong with you. Who is not asking you what's wrong with you? He said, come tell it. So if you got something going on, go tell the man. Go tell your Alahym, go tell your man. See, that's where we got the stuff backwards. Because you think that he should know. Hey, but this ain't television, man. It's not the movies. It's not a romance novel. It's real life. And that's not how real life works. And if we're going to work in a functional fashion, that's how things have to be done. And you have to speak clearly. That's what I was telling that young woman yesterday. That her issues and his issues, they weren't conveyed clearly, where the other person could hear and understand that person's perspective and where they were coming from. So I'm tripping. A lot of misunderstandings and blips and buttings of heads can be alleviated. Conveying of your perspective and people listening to understand and not listening to reply or to get defensive. Just to understand. That's what the mercy and compassion of Alahym is about, is to seek to understand. There's been situations in the past where people thought that people were getting justified because of their deeds, when it was no, you understand why they chose that pathway. When you can understand why a person made a choice that they made, you can give them the solutions to where they don't make that choice again. That's what we don't understand. You can hold someone accountable and still understand why they did what they did in order for them not to do it again. That's what mercy and compassion is about. And most of us don't have it. Because the first thing you're going to say is, I wouldn't have did that. I would have done. How does that benefit that person? Because clearly, if they would have known better, then they wouldn't have done it. If they could have understood how detrimental that thought process was, then they wouldn't have adhered to it. Most people don't even understand what the root is of why they make the choices that they make. They know the choices ain't right, but they can't unwrap their mind under why they keep making them. And that's why you have to listen to understand the point. That's why you do that. I understand now. Okay, I see why you feel this way. That's when you actually are moving forward. Remember, love don't seek her own. That's why many of us don't love each other. Because we're seeking what benefits me. You're not seeking what benefits them. And this is the difference, because he's seeking to what benefits his wife in a fashion that is profitable for her, not profitable for us monetarily, but what is going to be gained for her. That's why you're supposed to nurture and guide her. See, that's a whole nother thing too, because we can take that in many different directions, but I ain't gonna do it. At least not right now. Where I'm at, Joel 41 is in 16. I pick it back. See, that's something I learned from my auntie. That's what my auntie used to do. She wanted to understand your thought process. That's where I learned that from. When niggas was out of pocket, she would come. She wouldn't always snap. She would ask, "Why you chose? What was you thinking about? Walk me through it. What made you think that that was a good decision to make?" Because she wanted to understand your thought process so that she could pinpoint, "Yeah, baby, you don't want to see this. See this was wrong with that way of thinking. See, that's going to be beneficial to you. I guarantee you, you can assist yourself and a whole lot more other people if you could just seek to understand their way of thinking. Because remember, the book tells you that out of the man's heart, see evil things. It's what comes out of the man's heart that defiles him. If you can understand the way a man thinks, that's why he said he speaks to your heart in Hosea chapter 2. Because if you can understand the way a man thinks, because remember, as a man thinketh, so he is. That's why you have to change your mind. If I can understand how you think, then I can give you the words that speak to how you think so you can change how you think and therefore change how you behave. That's the beauty of the word of Alahym, because that is what he does. Nevertheless, Job 41:16. One is near to another that no air can come between them. They are joined one to another. They cannot stick together. They stick together. They cannot be sundered. By his neesings, light do shine. His eyes are like the eyelids of the morning. Out of his mouth go burning lamps, and sparks of fire leap out. Out of his nostrils go smoke, as out of a seething pot or cauldron. His breath kindle coals, and a flame go out of his mouth. Neck remains strength, and his sorrow is turned into joy before him. This is a lot of things we done dealt with that. I ain't touching all that right now, though. The flakes of his flesh are joined together. They are firm in themselves. They cannot be moved. His heart is firm as a stone, yea, as hard as a piece of the nether millstone. When he raised up himself, the mighty are afraid. By the reason of breakings, they purify themselves. Now, of course, purifying is kata, and it doesn't just mean sin or to miss the goal, but it also means to purify yourself from uncleanliness. Kat, tet, and olive. Kat, tet, and olive. Y'all can go ahead. Kat, tet, and olive. Got for the little kat, tet, and olive. One thing I know, brothers and sisters, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, the life is hard enough as it is. And we make it even harder because we complicate it. And you don't have to complicate it. Strong clay wall. All you gotta do is keep it simple. Anybody else? Cot, tet, and olive. All you gotta do is just keep it simple. But in order to do that, that means that we have to do one thing that we usually don't like to do, and that is to remove and or control your emotions. That's why the book tells you to be sober-minded. You sober-minded, you can see things clearly. When you can see things clearly, you make better decisions. You make better decisions. And then, of course, one of the biggest hang-ups with that is men don't lean on Alahym, men don't lean on other righteous men, and women don't lean on their men. Everybody out here seeking to do things by themselves. You know what I'm saying? And that's where it comes, that's where the problem comes in. That's where the problem comes in. You ain't got to do it by yourself. You know, a lot of people convince themselves that they can't go to this person or that person, but you never really done it. So how would you know? If you haven't done it, how would you know? How would you know? Because at that point, you're saying you got more wisdom than the people around you, or that your wisdom is sufficient. But of course, we already know. That man told you to bear one another's burdens. And when Mashiach was going through it, He didn't take that trip by himself. He had 3 men with him. You don't see women in the text saying, I got something going on, I'm gonna go through it by myself and not go to their husband. They didn't do that. Also, if that man was righteous, he just didn't bat away what you were talking about. If it was an actual real concern. And when we talk about real concerns, not things that she talking about that she wants, we're talking about real life. We're talking about real life. You got caught, Tet, and Olive. So more so that got Tet, you got contained. So you're contained with the leader and separated. Or you're contained with Yahushua and separated. Because that's what will cleanse you. 1 Corinthians chapter 6 for that. When we look at those letters, we try to keep it consistent with the context of the word that try to make the sentence of the characters fit the context of the word we use in the verse. You're contained. If Yahushua is contained inside of you, then you would be purified. Why would Yahushua be contained inside of you? Because you're a son of Alahym and you have that hope in you, and purify yourself even as Alahym is pure. Yahushua told you that anybody who seeks the esteem of the one who sent him, that's why Yahushua said, if you seek the esteem of the one who sent you, that same is true, and there's nothing wrong in him. I've been telling y'all that for years. You have to pay attention to people that if they preach the word and they never talk about Yahushua, they never talk about Abba who sent Yahushua. That means they ain't son. The man that told you what to pay attention to and what to know. If a man's always talking about himself, that man is not true. And there's unrighteousness in it because he said that clearly, that you're going to seek the esteem of the person who sent you. And if Yahushua sent you, then you're going to be esteeming him. You're going to spend more time talking about him than you're going to be talking about yourself. He told you this. And y'all been given that information. So y'all know that. So you should be able to pinpoint that anywhere you go. That's why I be telling you, it doesn't matter who you listen to. It doesn't matter where you go. It doesn't matter who you fellowship with. It doesn't matter who you run across. If you know the word, you should be able to identify very quickly if they're of Alahym or if they're not. I'm talking about very, very quickly. And when I say very quickly, I'm talking about within a matter of days of consistently being around them. A matter of days. Because you would know what to pay attention to. You wouldn't get caught up in code of personality. You wouldn't get caught up in the usage of verses. Because I know some brews online right now can throw 1,000,001 precepts at you. And you'll think they're the righteous niggas in the world. Them niggas sour. Besides, if they work trash, niggas sour them. You know what I'm saying? You can pinpoint it. The man has already told you what to pay attention to. Some of y'all remember, we looked at how the book tell you how you can tell who's chosen and who's not. It's not a mystery. It's not a secret. It's plain. He tells you. That's the stuff that I be tripping on, like that people don't be knowing. This man is very particular and very, very direct and plain about, yo, this my seed, that's their seed, my seed do this, his seed do that. Like he's very plain with it. It's not hidden. He ain't got it ducked off where it's a great mystery. Who's of God? Who's not? That man tell you exactly what to look for. Nevertheless, 1 Corinthians chapter 6, man, verse 9. You know, it is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. It's going to flow how it's going to flow. But this much I do know, that Yahuwah is the living Alahym. And blessed be the anointed of Alahym. That his word is faithful, is just, is righteous, and the mystery of Alahym would surely come to pass, and everyone will know when he reigns in the earth, and all his enemies shall bow before him and utterly be destroyed. And the righteous will rejoice. And not just rejoice for their destruction, but rejoice for the fulfilling of the promise. That this man has done exactly what he said he was going to do. And that he was going to give you exactly what he told you that he was going to give you. because you waited for him and you trusted in him. You don't nothing get better than that. Nevertheless, 1 Corinthians 6 and 9. Know you not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of Alahym? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor abusers of themselves with mankind. Remember that effeminate don't mean feminine acting man. That's a male temple prostitute. That's them boys at the bail house. That's a Kof Beno selling that butt. The stuff they be doing in them doggone Greek fraternity houses. A lot of them boys in there getting ravished and savaged. Talking about they on the line. Talking about they a beta and a kappa and a Q-dog and all that other type of stuff. Well, you was a male temple prostitute, boy. You know, put you on the stroke. Sold your soul for an outfit and a pal and some network connections. Sad state of affairs. Nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of Alahym. And such were some of you, but you were washed, but you are sanctified, but you are justified in the name of our Lord Yahushua and by the Ruach of our Alahym. See, I take it back to the purifying. Because if you have hope that Yahushua is the son of Alahym according to the scriptures, then you would purify yourself and you'd be washed. Why would you be washed? Because you would have got immersed in his name and you would have washed away your sins. And you would have washed away his sins in his blood by taking hold to that covenant of life. Job chapter 34 and 10. We still got to finish Deuteronomy 32. Ain't even got to Zephaniah chapter 3. See, all these things tie back into discussing Alahym being manifested in the flesh, because only Alahym can remove sins. Only he can do that. But you're going to son just popped in my mind about that, which y'all know in Exodus about the angel. But we'll read it again. Only Alahym can forgive. Only he can do that. How you know Yahushua's Alahym manifested in the flesh, that he is Yahuwah. No one else can forgive sins but Yahuwah. And but his father, and his father gave him that authority. He has that power to do that. All that power came forth. What are some of the things we discussed? Him being born from deadness, death coming from life. Remember, the Lamb was slain from the foundation of the world. So even before the world was created, he was already slain to show you that death was going to come from life. See, we miss all the key components of the mercy of Alahym because we like to argue like women. That's what we kept telling that young man, but you're very feminine, son. Because you arguing points when we're making a statement, a proclamation of what we believe, and you're making an assessment of what you think we believe versus you on that no, son, that's not what we believe. You want to argue like a hoe. And then get upset when we tell you that you're a very feminine man and you're a hoe. You're a coward. Clearly, you need to go check. Are you ovulating? Because I think you're ovulating. Because you're very hormonal right now. And it's unbecoming. It's unbecoming of a man of your stature. But you have to understand that. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't nothing wrong if you made a proclamation of faith and somebody is inferring what they think you believe, that you check them first quarter on that. You don't let them think that. No, you check them first quarter. We told that young man we are gospel centric. Oh, so y'all just New Testament only. No, that's not what we said. We didn't say that. We just previously told you that we could preach the gospel from Genesis to Malachi and not open the New Testament. So how did you get that out of that? Oh, see, brother, see, now you acting like a woman. Because now you're getting upset because you're getting checked. Because what you thought you was going to do is run down a whole soliloquy of how you thought you was going to cut our doctrine because we just believe all the letters of Paul, and nobody ever said that. So before we let you go off on an adventure of a creation of your own mind, let me go ahead and check you at the door. You're not getting in here. And you have to be willing to do that as a man, to check a nigga at the door. If he got your stance misconstrued. That's a part of, you're going to give me my respect. Because if you out of pocket, I'm going to check you at the door. I'm not letting it go. Because if I let it go, then you're going to feel comfortable in disrespecting me every time that you converse with me. And again, checking somebody is not, you don't have to be loud. You don't have to be belligerent. You don't have to be contentious. You just have to let them know. No, that's not what it is. That's not what you're going to do. That's not how you're going to behave. Because that's what Yahuwah does. No, that's not what you're going to do. Not how you're going to behave. But we don't like correction. And he already told you that. This chastisement does not feel joyous, but grievous. Because you're grieved because you're being disciplined. You're being shown that your way is not correct and you don't like it. Because you have to, now I don't want to say conform, but you have to adhere to a standard that is greater than you. And you don't have a desire to adhere. Because in your mind, see, then I was telling that young lady the same thing. What a woman feels like is restriction, allow you to move and roam freely. Love doesn't allow you to do that. But why is that the case? Because women love emotionally and they want a man to love them how they love. And men don't love emotionally. Men's love is more tied to the love of Alahym, even if they don't have a good, proper understanding of it. In a man's nature, his love is tied to the love of Allah, how you want to live. Do you have freedom in Mashiach? Do you have liberty in Mashiach? Absolutely. But that's freedom from the things that are detrimental to you. Not freedom to do as you will. That's Satan's law. It's the whole of the law. Do as you will. Have freedom. Be unrestricted. Have free reign in Rome. That's the devil. We don't even have that level of understanding for people who say we so wise to not understand that unrestriction is Satan. Satan wants you to be unrestricted and call that love. Yahuwah reins you in and you call that love oppression and control and restriction. When that restriction is to protect you from yourself. Because if not, you will destroy yourself. And we're not even wise enough to understand that that's what we're going to do. That's just happened. Job 34 and 5. Job have said, I am righteous, Alahym taken away my judgment. Shall I lie against my right? My wound is incurable without transgression. Man is like Job who drink of scorn and light water, which go in the company with the workers of iniquity and walk with wicked men. For he said, it profit a man nothing that he should delight himself with Alahym. Therefore, hearken unto me, you men of understanding, far be it from Alahym that he should do me, and from the Almighty that he should do iniquity. For the work of man shall he render unto men, and cause every man to find according to his ways. Yea, surely Alahym will not do wickedly, neither will the Almighty pervert judgment. Neither will the Almighty pervert judgment. See, that's something that we don't like to see. Men will pervert judgment. Why do people pervert judgment? In order to fulfill their own desire. See, people will pervert mishpat in order to get what they want. And see, a lot of us don't see that and understand that, and we go for that. Now it says, surely Alahym will not do Ra Shah, which is to act wickedly. He is not going to do that, nor will he pervert judgment. Let's get this word for pervert. It is a vav. That is to be bent, to be crooked, to pervert, or to falsify. You have ayin, u, and tau. Ayin, u, and tau. Now we're dealing with falsify. So we know that he wouldn't make crooked or falsify. So you got ayin, u, and tau. So you would know how to be secured to the covenant or to the mark, and that can't be perverted. See, in Jeremiah chapter 48:10, come on around here, dude. Jeremiah 48:10. See, this is what you have to sit back and look at. See, a lot of people take the word of Yahuwah, and this is what they do with it. 48:10, book of Jeremiah, that's all we want. And it says, cursed be he that do the work of Yahuwah deceitfully, and cursed be he that keep back his sword from blood. See, now you can't be out here doing the work of Yahuwah deceitfully. Let's look at what word is used for being deceitful. It is Rimyah, slackening, deceit, treachery, false, guile, slothful. Yeah, you take that too. You have a knowledge of a secure agreement. So you have knowledge of Alahym. You know that the agreement is secured because you know it was nailed to the stake. His blood was shed, mark of his covenant. But sit back and look at that, right? Now come over here to 1 Peter chapter 2, because look what it say about the Lamb. Which of course 1 Peter chapter 2 is referencing Isaiah 53, but it's all good. 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 21. What we just read, Alahym won't pervert judgment. He's not going to bend or make crooked. That's right. But you got people who do the work of Yah deceitfully. It's guile, it's deceit. They do it with deceit. And you know, guile, that's a little bit of treachery. That's a little bit of game. See, I ain't never been one who believed in no game. I just always believe in telling the truth. It's too much to be doing all that lying. Too much work. You either gonna be with it or you not. You know what I'm saying? It's as simple as that. You ain't with it, that's fine. But you either gonna be with it or you not. Nobody got time to be lying to you, especially not to no woman. Lie to a woman for what? You know what I'm saying? For what? For what? You see, you lie to what you deem is superior to you and what you fear. You got no time to be lying to no woman. You know what I'm saying, man? Are you gonna be with it or you not gonna be with it? As simple as that. If it's something I want, I'm gonna directly ask you for it. You don't want to give it, that's fine. Because you ain't gonna be running around talking about I lied to you. You know what I'm talking about? Ran game on you. Ran game on you for what? But see, that's what a lot of dudes teach dudes out here to run game on women and tell them what they want to hear. Man, bump all of that. That's how they come back to you later, cussing you out and doing all that extra stuff. Man, you tell them what it is. She's either gonna get down with the program or she's not. That's it. That's what you would do. He narrated to you what it is. You either down with the program or you're not. They don't trying to run no game on you. Satan run game on people. He run game. He make you believe that something is what it isn't. Ain't nobody got time for that. 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 21. For even hereunto were you called, because Mashiach also suffered for us, leaving us an example that we should follow in his steps, who did no sin, neither was guile found in his mouth. See, this is a thing with Alahym. Because remember, guile is to be lying and to be deceitful. And Alahym is not a man that he should lie. Yahuwah is Yahusha, and Yahusha is Yahuwah. Because Yahusha told no lies. There was no guile found in his mouth. Proverbs chapter 9. Proverbs chapter 9. You could pick it up at verse 9. We still got to read Zephaniah 3, even though we read it Wednesday. It ain't going to hurt to revisit. Still deal with Yahusha forgiving sins before we get up out of here. We at a 2-hour mark. We're going to get ready to wrap it up in a second. We'll close it in on 2 hours. Give instruction to a wise man, and he will yet be wiser. Teach a just man, and he will increase in learning. The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom. The knowledge of the Kadash is understanding. Now, let's just sit back and think about that for a moment. When you have the knowledge of what is set apart, you have the insight. And Yahusha is that Kadash. That's where you get your insight. How do we know that? Pause. We're good in 1 Peter. You can come to John chapter 10, verse 32. You can make it 10 and 29. John chapter 10, verse 29. 29. The Abba which gave them me is greater than I, and no man is able to pluck them out of my Abba's hand. I and my Abba are one. The Yahudim took up stones again to stone him. Yahushua answered him, many good works have I showed you from my Abba. For which of those works do you stone me? The Yahudim answered him, saying, for a good work we stone you not, but for blasphemy, because that you, being a man, make yourself Alahym. Yahushua answered them, is it not written in your Torah, said you are Alahym? If he called them Alahym, under whom the word Alahym came, and the scripture cannot be broken. Say you of him whom Abba have sanctified and sent into the world, you blaspheme, because I said I am the son of Alahym. If I do not the works of my Abba, believe me not. But if I do, though you believe not me, believe the works, that you may know and believe that Abba is in me and I in him. Therefore they sought again to take him, but he escaped out of their hand, and he went away again beyond Jordan to the place where John first immersed, and there he abode. Many resorted unto him and said, John did no miracle, but all the things that John spake of this man were true, and many believed on him. So I thank the Lord. See, that came back to my mind. I had to make sure that I got all the points that talk about the seed a little bit, talking about Isaac, but I need to be more specific on it being one. And then, of course, him rising from the dead, that you got access to him. I think we've already pretty much dealt with that. The righteous seed and the firstborn kind of mixing what they already had. But see, when they just mentioned John the Baptist, so that's what I was thinking about what little Johnny just put up there about John the Baptist. And they said they believed the things that John the Baptist said of him. Because we still have to reconcile when men began to call upon the name of Yahuwah. So I want to come over here to Luke, I believe. I want to say Luke 11. Because I like how it's worded in Luke better than it's worded in Matthew. But that's just me. That's just me. I don't know if we're at Luke 11 ain't got what I want. Not what I want. Give me a second. That ain't got what I want. Because it's still even dealing with calling upon the name of Yahuwah or coming, and we still have Proverbs 9, because I got to reconcile that for a little standard, because I ain't never get back to him in a timely fashion in that regard, because the doggone van has been tripping son decent. Luke 16. Luke 16 and 14. Luke 16 and 14. The Pharisees also, which were covetous, heard all these things, and they derided him. And he said unto them, you are they which justify yourselves before men, but Alahym know your heart. For that which is highly esteemed among men is an abomination in the sight of Alahym. The law and prophets were until John. Since that time, the kingdom of Alahym is preached, and every man press into it. See, at this time, Cain and Abel, Cain done slew Abel. Abel had the word. So he gave him compensation, or he gave him another seed. See, that take us back to you dealing with your near kinswoman, your flesh, that there in the third. He said everybody got to get pressed into that. See, once he had a man, Enos, men began to call upon the name of Yahuwah. But it's a little different in this regard, right? You got John the Baptist, and he would be symbolic of what you would look at as being Adam. And he's telling you about a son who's coming, and that would be doggone Seth, your compensation. And then that compensation goes into the grave, and he produces a son, and that's Enos, and that's a man, a new man, created after the image of him who created him. Because, of course, Genesis chapter 5, just in case you ain't know what I'm about to say, why I'm going to say what I'm going to say. Genesis chapter 5, just so you know I'm not pulling that out of thin air. 5 and 1 to be specific. Genesis chapter 5 and 1. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that Alahym created, he created man in the likeness of Alahym. made he him, male and female created he them, and blessed them and called their name Adam in the day when they were created. And Adam lived 130 years and begat a son in his own likeness after his image and called his name Seth. Seth is the compensation or the other seed. And then he had Enos, who is a man. And that man is in the likeness of Seth, who's in the likeness of Adam, who's in the likeness of Alahym, all three being the sons of Alahym, which is why that says that in Genesis chapter 6. We're not going to touch that tonight. The whole objective is to be in the image of Alahym. See, many of us don't want to be in the image of Alahym because what it will require for you to be in the image of Alahym. And what it requires for you to be in the image of Alahym goes back to what we've already mentioned earlier, and that is to be subdued. Most of us do not want to be subdued. And you know why we don't want to be subdued? Because you got to give up your life. So you can't be out here doing what you want to do, living how you want to live, being how you want to be. You don't want to do that. But you don't really understand the beauty in doing that. Because there's beauty in doing that. It's beauty in doing it. It's power in submission. The power of submission is that you get to be exalted with the son of Alahym, because that's how he was exalted. He humbled himself in the fashion of a man, even unto death, the death of the state. You look at humbling yourself as some type of dirty, horrible thing. Like you women say, I don't want to submit. It depends on who I'm submitting to. Well, how you a righteous woman and you can't discern a righteous man, baby? That means you stupid. Or lust for one. How you a righteous man and you can't discern a righteous woman? That means you stupid. Or lust for one. That makes no sense. That you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. That means somebody lying. And unfortunately, most of the people out here lying. You haven't humbled yourself to Alahym. That's why you can't tell the difference. That's why you got the problems in your brain. Because you haven't allowed the word to subdue your carnal mind. So therefore, your carnal mind reigns supreme. Zephaniah chapter 3. Your carnal mind don't have to reign supreme. All you have to do is let it be subdued by the word. There's no greater power than the word. Your carnal mind can't beat the word. The only way your carnal mind can beat the word is because you don't allow the word to do its perfect work. That's the only way it wins. Your carnal mind can't. How can flesh beat spirit? That doesn't make sense. The word of Alahym is ruach. How can flesh beat spirit? Flesh can't overcome spirit. That's why they couldn't overcome Alahym. They thought they were overcoming him because they put him to death in the flesh, but he was going to be made righteous by the ruach the whole time. They couldn't understand that. He was righteous before he died. So there was no way that flesh could overcome him. We don't see it in that fashion because you would rather run and allow the flesh to win and say that the word ain't strong enough. Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 5, man. The just Yahuwah is in the midst thereof, he will not do iniquity. Every morning do we bring his judgment to the light, but the unjust know no change. Verse 11. And that day you shall not be ashamed for all your doings where you have transgressed against me, for I will take away out of the midst of you them that rejoice in your pride, and you shall no more be haughty because of my Kadash mount. And I will leave in the midst of you an afflicted and poor people. They shall trust in the name of Yahuwah. The remnant of Yasharal shall not do iniquity, nor speak lies. Neither shall a deceitful tongue be found in their mouth. They shall feed and lie down, and none shall make them afraid. See, this is also the key component of us talking about Alahym being manifested in the flesh. Him being manifested in the flesh is what gives you the ability to be Alahym manifested in the flesh with him. That's why I say, what manner of love hath the Father bestowed upon us, that we might be called the sons of Alahym. And you can see that right there in verse 13, because it just told you that the just Yahuwah in the midst, he will do no iniquity. And he just told you the remnant of Yasharal shall not do iniquity, nor speak lies. You just seen that there was no guile found in Yahusha's mouth. You know that Alahym speaks not lies. And it's impossible for him to lie. This is go back to being conformed in the image of his son, or being made into Alahym. That's why I say he gave them power to become the sons of Alahym, not by the will of the flesh, not by the will of man, not by might, but by Alahym. And therefore you would become Alahym. 1 John chapter 3, verse 8. Matter of fact, make it verse 7. Which takes us back to that one righteous seed, which is Isaac, which is Yahusha, which is the promise that came from a dead womb. But that we believe that from that dead womb, life will spring forth. Same way that we believe that Yahusha went in that grave, and that they came to that grave, and he said, who you seek, Yahusha, whom you seek, he is not here, for he has risen. Because we believe life sprung from a dead womb. Shalom, man. Shalom, man. That's no different than us looking at what we looked at in regards to Abraham, with the man having to provide raiment and duty of marriage, or a ruach and a dwelling, a cohabitation for his kinswoman whom he has redeemed. And notice when they mentioned what Abraham said, oh, she's not the daughter of my mother, but the daughter of my father. Because we all ascend one father. Amen. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Praise be to Alahym. Indeed it is. And indeed it is very beautiful. And then what we look at, and like I told this young woman this, because I told her that I tell y'all this regularly. And what I told y'all the other day on the natural sense, there is no benefit for a man getting married. None whatsoever. He doesn't benefit in any shape, form, or fashion. If you are a godly man, the benefit is the very thing that I've told y'all on many a day, that the kingdom of Alahym is manifested in the flesh through you. Because they will see Yasharal in that woman. They will see Alahym. They will see Yahusha in that man. And your offspring, they will see the Ruach HaKadosh, or the offspring of the son of Alahym. And that they will see the love of Alahym manifested from that man to his woman. And they will see the reverence of Alahym from that woman to her man. And they will see the obedience of that offspring to their master, their head, their father, that husband. And they would have no choice but to give esteem and praise to the living Alahym and Shamahim, and be able to fall down on their feet and say, of the truth, Alahym is in you, and that he is the living Alahym, and Yahushua is his anointed one. They would have to confess it. And that is the benefit for a man getting married if he's godly, because his Father in heaven would be esteemed through his keeping and guarding of the gospel of Yahushua. And nothing is more beautiful than that, if you are able to manifest that on this physical plane. Why dudes be going back and forth about why, I'm talking about dudes in the word now, why men shouldn't get married and shouldn't do this here. And these niggas got 2-3 wives in a year. These women with 3-4 different dudes in 6-7 months, because they're not focused on the plan. They're not focused on the plan. You missing the plan, which means you don't believe. Because I say, if we sit back and look at it right, Alahym brought death from life. And it was representative in Sarah's womb. Because Sarah's womb was representative of the grave. It was dead. But yet life came from it. And you look at yourself, you were dead in trespasses and sins, but now you've been made alive through the grace of Yahushua HaMashiach. So therefore live a life of righteousness and kadoshness in the faith of the Son of the living Alahym, and proclaim his name. Because you couldn't call upon the name of Yahuwah without him. You can't call upon it. Which is what you were supposed to understand with Seth and Enos. Oh, praise Alahym. You know what I'm saying? That's what you're supposed to, that's what we're supposed to gather. See, we argue about when a day start, what feast day on this day, and you missing the point. You missing the point. Missing the whole point that Alahym loved you enough to make himself lesser and become a man. He made himself lesser. See, this is something that no one will make themselves lesser in order to make someone else greater, because that's what he did. That's why he told you, he that's chiefest among you, let him be a servant. That's why he could tell you that. That's why he could tell you that. And he could tell you that because I'm greater than all y'all. I made you. I made the earth you spinning on. And I'm staring you in your face. And I'm telling you, as your creator, that I'm going to wash your feet. So you ought to wash each other's feet. You know why he can do that? He's secure in his greatness. He knows that me serving you don't make me any less greater. That doesn't make me equal to you. That's not the case. Like I told that young woman, see, a lot of brothers, they ain't seen no masculinity, ain't seen no man have no authority and no rule in their life. So when they start coming to word, the word say the woman got to be subject to her husband, and husband said this, that, there, and the third, these boys get a power rush that they ain't never felt because they ain't been respected. See, when you hear these people talking about the black woman is the most disrespected person on the world, as a black man, you ought to be highly offended because she disrespect you and then have the gall and audacity to tell you to lead her while she disrespects you. No one on the earth respects you. No one. No one. So when you come around and you find out you Yasharal, you the chosen people, this, that, there, and the third, and woman, you got to listen to me. You run overboard with it because you don't know what to do with that type of authority. You've been lowly all your life. You've been trampled on, disrespected, neglected, and ignored. So now you feel like, let me exert my authority. And you exhort it, you overcompensate. You know what I'm saying? And the gospel is there to rein us back in to understand, no, my son, that's not what you do. That's not how you do that. You got to follow me. When you follow me, you can see the blueprint. She gonna give you respect. She gonna get out. But she's not gonna get out because you necessarily have to put her out. She gonna get out because she will no longer want to dwell in a place where she must elevate her standard to where no folly will be accepted. That I don't have to rant, rave, scream, and holler. You already know this is not acceptable here. You will be chastised. You will be corrected. You will be shown why that is error. And see, this is a thing. This is why people walk away from the word. Because what they feel like is restriction and oppression is really love. See, the love of Alahym will run a person who hates love away. That's what we don't understand. See, those scribes and Pharisees, they hated the love of Alahym. That's why I say the love of Alahym is not in you. That's why they sought to get away from him or get him away from them. See, the love of Alahym will remove people. You don't have to remove them. I've been telling you all that for years. You ain't got to get rid of them. They're going to get rid of themselves. He told you men will separate you from your company and cast your name as evil. You ain't got to get rid of them. They will get rid of themselves because their hatred for the love of Alahym will not allow them to exist in a place where the love of Alahym is present. Where the mercy, the justice, the judgment, the goodness, the mutar, the chastisement, the reproof, and the discipline, they're going to get away from it. You don't have to do none of that. Yahusha didn't tell none of the people, get out. They got away from him. I don't like this. He loved people and he tell the truth. He sit down with sinners and he got compassion on them to save them, and he tell me that I'm stupid. And the things that I desire are fruitless. I hate him. He never told any of them people to get away from him at any time. He never did. Didn't have to. He didn't have to. He didn't have to. He didn't have to. He didn't have to. And that's the beauty of the mystery of the fear of Alahym. Because everything we talk about is the fear, it's the reverence that the son had for the father. He had so much respect for his father to come down and love the people as his father loves. That's why I say Alahym, love first. That's why, and I was talking to the young man about this, and we told you this before. Because everybody tell you ain't nobody gonna love you like your mama. That's a lie. Because if your father's a righteous man, ain't nobody gonna love you like your father's going to love you. Because your mother will never do for you what your father did for you. Your father got up on the tree and hung and died. Your mother's not doing that. She's not doing that. She'll jump in front of a car for you. She'll jump in front of a bullet for you. But if you think that she's going to voluntarily participate in a work that she know that she is going to be mortified at the end of it, you lying to yourself. See, that's the difference when we talk about Yahushua dying. He already knew what was going to happen to him before it happened and volunteered for the job. Not an impulse of let me protect my baby. See, that's the difference. See, that's impulse. But you're talking about sitting down, weighing out, thoughtfully thinking about I'm going to embark on a journey that's going to cause me to die at the end of it, and I'm willing to do it. Oh, your mama's not doing that. Your mama's not doing that. And these women, if they're being honest with themselves, they'll tell you themselves, oh, I'm not doing that. Because we know 99.9% of men ain't doing it. Truth be told, 100%. Ain't no man going to do it. Let's just keep it a buck. Ain't no man going to do it. It's only one person who could do it, and that's Alahym. Because Alahym got that kind of love. You ain't got that kind of love in you. Not no natural man made of dust and ashes. You ain't got that in you. That's why he can tell you, I loved you first. You ain't loved me first. And knowing that he loved you first. See, that's the thing. That's why men take things so difficult when they choose to place their love on a woman and then she do them dirty. That's why men take that in a different fashion. It's different for a man when he places love on a woman because he's choosing to love this woman. And it's not a love that is rooted in an emotion or a feeling that she makes him feel. See, a woman loves you based on how you make her feel. A man does not love in that capacity. So if a man sets his love on you, that's intrinsic. That's from inside of him. And that's different. That's completely different. And if you don't understand the love of Alahym towards Yasharal, then you'll never understand how a man can love you in that capacity because a man chooses to love you. Men choose to love a woman. When you hear men talking about they fall in love, see, that man's feminine. But man say, I love this woman and I set my love upon her. Just like Yahuwah said, he set his love upon you. That means the benefits of love that are contained in 1 Corinthians chapter 11 are being bestowed upon this person. And he chose to do that. That's something completely different. That, oh, he makes me feel this type of way, girl. He does this. No, men don't do that. Because you women know you don't respect a man who do that. You look at this nigga's a hoe. This is what goes through your mind. You can never do that with Yahushua. Because you know he said his love. He died for you. He didn't seek his own. He wasn't puffed up. He didn't behave with you in an improper fashion. Let's look at 1 Corinthians 11 before we get out of here. And his love never failed. His love never failed. That's the beauty of it. Alahym loved you with an everlasting love, as it states in Jeremiah 33, and his love never failed. That's chapter 13. I don't know why I kept saying 11. My bad, y'all. 1 Corinthians 13. Probably because the night of his Passover is in chapter 11, but I don't know. I just kept saying 11 and it's chapter 13. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4. Love suffer long. So the first thing you know that love is slow to anger. You can't say you love somebody and you always get angry quickly. Why can we say that? Because Alahym is long suffering. He's slow to anger and is kind. Love envies not. Love vaunt not itself. It is not puffed up. The love of Alahym is slow to anger. The love of Alahym is kind. The love of Alahym does not envy, and it is not proud. It does not behave itself unseemly, nor seeks not her own, is not easily provoked, and thinks no evil. When you love someone, they can't easily provoke you. Yahuwah was not easily provoked by his people. No different than when they came to tempt Yahushua, he did not snap nor think any evil against him. That's why he rebuked his apostles when they said, should we ask for fire to come down from heaven like Elijah? And he said, you don't know what manner of spirit you are. We came to save men's lives, not to destroy them, because love thinks no evil. And love is not easily provoked. They provoked that man on every cut and corner, but he didn't provoke them back. You got to think about that. That's the love of Alahym. You saw it live and in person. With Yahushua, you saw Alahym love you, but hallelujah for Yahushua in the world. We'll stop right there. Yahuwah willing, we'll pick it up on tomorrow. I shall out the house of Yahuwah in the name of Yahushua. I know we covered a lot of things, talked about a lot of things. Prayerfully, you got to understand it out the deal. We might revisit in more detail the deadness of Sarah's womb, Alahym being manifested in the flesh. Like I said, that hit me when I sat back and was thinking on when the brother posted that about those three things. Were they hard to believe, or did you believe them? Thank Alahym. Just in this regard, because I don't think he realized it. I guess that's something that those three matters. I guess that's something that a lot of Brews struggle with. I don't know, because I don't talk to a lot of people in that regard. But I did comment on it, and then looking at it, that's just what came to my mind, especially the one with Sarah, because that's the promised seed. And of course, we've already tied Adam's creation and Yahushua's birth as being representative of him, and that Yahushua was representative of Adam again coming out of the grave because he came from the dust of the ground, and Yahuwah breathed the Ruach in him and made him a quickening Ruach versus a living soul, because he was created in the garden just like Adam, like Yahushua was buried in the garden that no man had ever been laid, like Adam was made in the garden that no man had ever tilled. Like it's all the same thing as bearing witness to the power of Alahym. We ought to rejoice. You know what I'm saying? Oh, praise Alahym. Like we ought to rejoice because the resurrection was shown from the beginning. Everlasting life was shown from the beginning. Oh, indeed. And that's like this here. The deadness of Sarah rumored by a promise. That's why he snapped on his apostles. Ought not Mashiach to suffer, to enter into his esteem? They suffered because she was childless. She was barren. She suffered, then brought forth the child of the promise after her suffering. From the deadness of her womb came life. At the deadness of the grave came life, and came the promise, and Alahym fulfilled it. Hallelujah, indeed, he fulfilled it. See, a lot of brothers that sit back and look at it. Oh man, they think they know this and know that. No, we just know what Alahym has let us see and what he let us hear, and that because he let us see it and let us hear it, we rejoice in his goodness and mercy. This ain't about no more than this person or that person. That's whole stuff. That's nigga stuff. We rejoice because we know our Alahym, and we know his plan and his will and his righteousness and the justification of man through his blood. So therefore we rejoice in that. And we're not ashamed to proclaim it. We're not ashamed to speak of his goodness. We're not ashamed to speak of his mercy and the everlasting arm of salvation, which is extended unto those who trust in him. Don't be ashamed. You know what I'm saying? Bump with these brews out here talking about, man, Shoot, man, that's the goodness of Alahym, man. You ought to talk about it. It ought to be esteemed. It ought to be mentioned. It ought to be proclaimed upon the hop. My bad, y'all. I ain't finished. Proverbs 9. Oh, look out, man. I would be dead wrong if I didn't do that. But that's what we was looking at to set apart and understand it for. Come over here to Proverbs chapter 10, right? We're in verse 11. I already read verse 10. He said, for by me your days shall be multiplied and the years of your life shall be increased. If you be wise, you shall be wise for yourself. But if you scorn, you shall bear it alone. You alone shall bear it. A foolish woman is clamorous. She's simple. She knows nothing. Now, this is where Proverbs, the verses that he asked for about to come into play. It tells you that a foolish woman is clamorous. If you don't know what clamorous is, it is Hama, that is a woman who likes to be boisterous or turbulent or cause commotions. So a foolish woman likes to stir up trouble. She's simple. She don't know nothing. When you're looking at simple, that means she deals in simplicity or silliness. She is easily seduced. For she sit at the door of her house and on the seat and the high places of the city to call passengers who go right on their ways. Whoso is simple, let him turn in hither. As for him that want understanding, she say to him. See, listen, right? See, this is the example where the book tell you what type of woman to not fool with. Don't fool with a woman who like to cause commotion and problems. That's why he say those that are easily seduced will turn into fool with this hoe. Because it says she's seducible. She's easily seduced. That's why I say, cake and happy silly women who are laden with diverse lusts. See, a woman who has a bunch of different lusts, she can easily be deceived and seduced according to those lusts. And he told you that foolish woman, she like to cause trouble and she's easily seduced and she don't know nothing. And she's sitting around to see who won't understand it so she can say to him, look what she say, stolen waters are sweet and bread eaten in a secret place is present. Look what she's telling you to do. Come on over here and commit adultery. See, she trying to do to you the same thing Satan did to Eve in the garden. See, I got another angle to take with this here, but I'm going to get you with this one here. And y'all willing, we'll hit the other one on tomorrow. But when you look at stolen, of course, that's the knob, right? You carrying it away. You taking it away. She said, taking away waters are sweet. It's pleasing. But he know not that the dead are there and that our guests are in the depths of hell. So you don't know why this woman trying to seduce you and to go in and say, well, you talking about bread eaten in secret. Come on and do your sins in secret. It's pleasant. It's delightful. It's lovely. But you don't know you're going to go to hell. See, the book tell you this type of woman, don't fool with her. It tell you this the type of, you need to avoid this type of woman because she's trying to seduce you. Because she said, as for him that want understanding. She say for the man, now when it say understanding here, it's lev. So when she say whoso is simple, let him turn in, and you have kasur when it's talking about turn in, and that's somebody who's needing and lacking and want of a heart. So she's saying those who are in want of the word, she say, come over here and get this stolen water. It's sweet. Eat this bread in secret. It's pleasant, but he don't know he going to hell. Because he's looking for understanding and he's listening to this woman. See, we can tie that into listening to that whore of Babylon or listening to these faulty. We could go for days. But I just had to set that up for my homeboy, man, because he hit me up with that, man, and that doggone van with the tripping and a bunch of other stuff, and I ain't get to it. But you who are willing, we'll run more of it down on tomorrow. I know we done dealt with it in the past, but we'll give it a little another once over. But that's how a lot of y'all get got. You in one of a heart and you listening to this woman. One thing for certain, two things for sure. But when it comes down to trying to get some wisdom and get that there in the third, well, you don't need to be listening to no woman, man. Because she gonna set you up for failure. And he already let you know. She boisterous, she loud, like to be contentious, she easily seduced. Don't fool her. She gonna kill you. She gonna kill you. But again, I bless y'all at the house of you. Man, you were willing, we'll pick it up on tomorrow. Y'all know Monday night we're gonna pick it up for atonement. Pick it up by 8:15 or so, and make it do what it do. I appreciate your time. Love y'all. Keep yourself rooted in the righteousness of Alahym, and Yahuwah willing. To the next time. Oh no, we're not. But we're not saying that some women don't have wisdom. But we come out in regard of if you ain't got none, instead of man, some if you ain't got none, and you talking about a man looking for it, a woman is not the place for that you need to go. That's not who you need to seek that from. You need to go get that from a man. If you lacking a heart, if you're in need of a heart, if you're in need of a word, need of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, a woman is not the place that you need to get that from. No, that's not. You'll already be in the wrong path because you looking to get it from the wrong source. You know what I'm saying? Because wisdom is just skill. A woman can definitely tell you, hey, don't do this or don't do that. But if you in need of a heart, shoot, she'll tell you what you coming looking to me for. Because she's looking for you to get it to her. She's looking for you to help her with it. So she's gonna be looking to get you crazy if you looking to get that from her. Because she's trying to get it from you. But she'll hold it down, my G. We'll make it do what it do.